The moment Sophia Blackwood's Louboutins clicked across Marcus Evans' worn linoleum floor, both their lives changed forever. She stood there, power suit worth more than his monthly rent, diamond watch catching the dim light of his modest kitchen, looking completely out of place in his small apartment where toys were scattered across the floor. "I want a baby," she had said with the same tone she probably used to order coffee. "Can you help?" Marcus, still in his faded t-shirt with a cartoon character his daughter had picked out, could only stare back at this stranger and ask, "Why me?" If you're enjoying this story of two worlds colliding and want to see how a single dad and an arrogant billionaire could possibly find common ground, hit that like button and subscribe to catch all our original stories that will tug at your heartstrings. Marcus Evans never expected his life to intersect with someone like Sophia Blackwood. At 34, his days revolved around his 5-year-old daughter Emma, his struggling carpentry business, and trying to keep their small world from falling apart after his wife's death 3 years ago. The last thing he needed was the CEO of Blackwood Industries, a woman notorious for her cutthroat business tactics and ice-cold demeanor, standing in his kitchen with the most bizarre proposition he'd ever heard. "I don't understand," Marcus said, glancing nervously toward Emma's bedroom door, hoping their voices wouldn't wake her from her nap. "We've never even met before today. How did you find me? Why would you ask me something like this?" Sophia's perfectly manicured hand brushed an invisible speck from her tailored blazer. "Your reputation precedes you, Mr. Evans. I've done my research. You're an exceptional father despite challenging circumstances. Your craftsmanship is exquisite, though criminally undervalued. And your genetic profile is..." She paused, her clinical assessment faltering for just a moment, "compatible with what I'm looking for." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. "My genetic profile? Have you been stalking me?" "I prefer the term thorough vetting," Sophia replied without a hint of remorse. "I'm 39 years old, Mr. Evans. I've built an empire worth billions, but time isn't something even I can buy. I need a child, an heir, and I need someone with the right qualities to help me create one. And you think that's me? A struggling single dad who can barely keep his business afloat?" Marcus laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Ms. Blackwood, I think you should leave." But Sophia Blackwood wasn't accustomed to being dismissed. She placed a sleek leather portfolio on his kitchen table. "Inside is my offer. Take a look before you decide. I'm not asking for any involvement beyond biological contribution. You'll be generously compensated, and your daughter's future will be secured." Before Marcus could respond, a small voice called from the hallway. "Daddy? Who's the pretty lady?" Emma stood in the doorway, her curly hair tousled from sleep, clutching her favorite stuffed rabbit. Marcus immediately moved to her side, placing a protective hand on her shoulder. "Just someone who was leaving, sweetheart," he said firmly, giving Sophia a pointed look. But Sophia's expression had changed. For the first time since she'd arrived, something genuine flickered across her face as she looked at Emma. It was gone in an instant, replaced by her usual composed mask, but Marcus had seen it, a flash of longing so profound it momentarily transformed her. "Hello," Sophia said, her voice softer than before. "I'm Sophia. Your father and I were just having a grown-up talk." Emma, never shy, stepped forward. "I'm Emma. I'm 5 3/4. Do you like rabbits? This is Mr. Hoppy." Something in Sophia's carefully constructed facade cracked as she knelt down, designer suit and all, to Emma's level. "I do like rabbits. Mr. Hoppy looks very distinguished." "Distinguished," Emma repeated carefully. "That means special, right?" "Yes," Sophia said, a genuine smile transforming her face. "Very special." Marcus watched this exchange with confusion. This wasn't the cold, calculating businesswoman who had barged into his home moments ago. This woman, kneeling on his worn carpet and speaking gently to his daughter, seemed almost human. "Emma, honey, why don't you go wash up for dinner?" Marcus suggested. After Emma reluctantly left, Sophia stood, smoothing her skirt with hands that seemed less steady than before. "I should go," she said, but made no move toward the door. Instead, her eyes lingered on the family photos lining the wall, Marcus, Emma, and a woman with Emma's curly hair and bright smile. "Your wife?" "Yes," Marcus said stiffly. "Sarah. She died of cancer 3 years ago." Something shifted in Sophia's expression. "I'm sorry for your loss." "Thank you," Marcus replied automatically, then added with genuine curiosity, "Why a baby? Why now? You could adopt if you want a child." Sophia's professional mask slipped back into place. "Blackwood Industries has been in my family for generations. I need a biological heir." But Marcus had seen the crack in her armor. "Is that the only reason?" Their eyes met, and for a moment, Sophia seemed on the verge of saying something more personal. Instead, she reached for her portfolio. "My contact information is inside. Think about my offer, Mr. Evans. I'll expect your answer within a week." As she turned to leave, Emma came running back, stopping Sophia in her tracks. "Are you coming back?" Emma asked, looking up at Sophia with innocent curiosity. Sophia hesitated, then glanced at Marcus. "That depends on your father." After she left, Marcus sat at the kitchen table long after Emma had gone to bed, staring at the unopened portfolio. His fingers traced the embossed Blackwood Industries logo, his mind replaying the strange encounter. He couldn't deny his curiosity about what lay inside, but something held him back from opening it. It wasn't just the bizarre nature of Sophia's proposal that troubled him. It was the glimpse of vulnerability he'd seen when she looked at Emma, a loneliness that mirrored his own. And that, somehow, felt more dangerous than any business proposition. Sophia Blackwood's penthouse office overlooked the city like a glass fortress. 60 floors above the streets, she could see everything but was untouchable, exactly how she preferred to live her life. "Ms. Blackwood, your 3 o'clock is waiting," her assistant's voice came through the intercom. "Send them away," Sophia replied, still staring out at the skyline. "Clear my schedule for the rest of the day." She hadn't been able to focus since leaving Marcus Evans' apartment 2 days ago. The portfolio she'd left with him contained a contract offering $5 million for his services, with additional provisions for his daughter's education and future. It was generous, clean, and completely transactional, exactly how Sophia handled everything in her life. So why couldn't she stop thinking about the way Emma had looked at her with such open curiosity? Or how Marcus had instinctively moved to protect his daughter, not with aggression but with a quiet strength that spoke volumes about the kind of father he was? Sophia turned from the window and picked up the file her private investigator had compiled on Marcus Evans. 34 years old. Former architectural student who dropped out when his wife became pregnant. Started a custom furniture business that had received critical acclaim but struggled financially. Widowed 3 years ago when Sarah Evans died of aggressive breast cancer. No family support system, his parents were deceased, and Sarah's family lived abroad. The file included photographs, Marcus at a school event with Emma, Marcus working in his small workshop, Marcus shopping for groceries with a list clearly written in a child's handwriting. Ordinary moments that somehow conveyed an extraordinary bond between father and daughter. Sophia closed the file and pressed her fingers to her temples. This wasn't how this was supposed to go. Marcus Evans was supposed to be a means to an end, a genetic donor with desirable qualities who needed money badly enough to agree to her terms without complications. She hadn't expected to feel anything when she met him. She certainly hadn't expected to be affected by his daughter, with her innocent questions and that well-loved stuffed rabbit. Sophia's hand drifted unconsciously to her abdomen. The doctors had been clear, her chances of conceiving naturally were minimal, and time was running out. After building her empire, sacrificing everything for success, she'd suddenly realized there was no one to leave it to. No legacy beyond cold corporate achievements. Her phone rang, interrupting her thoughts. The screen showed an unfamiliar number. "Sophia Blackwood," she answered crisply. "It's Marcus Evans," came the reply, his voice sounding tired but determined. "We need to talk, but not at my place. And not at your office either." Sophia felt her heart rate quicken unexpectedly. "Name the place." "There's a playground at Westside Park. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. Emma will be with me." "A playground?" Sophia couldn't keep the dismay from her voice. "Take it or leave it, Ms. Blackwood. Those are my terms." Sophia found herself smiling despite herself. "Very well, Mr. Evans. I'll see you tomorrow." As she hung up, Sophia realized this was the first time in years someone had dictated terms to her, and even more surprisingly, she had accepted them without negotiation. The playground was busy with weekend activity when Sophia arrived. She felt ridiculously out of place in her casual clothes, designer jeans and a simple blouse that had cost more than most people's entire wardrobes but were the most informal items she owned. She spotted Marcus sitting on a bench, watching Emma climb on a jungle gym. He looked different today, less defensive, more thoughtful. He didn't stand when she approached, just shifted to make room on the bench. "You came," he said, eyes still on Emma. "I said I would." Sophia sat beside him, leaving careful space between them. "Have you made a decision?" Marcus turned to look at her directly. "I read your offer. It's generous. But?" Sophia prompted, sensing his hesitation. "But I'm not a stud horse, Ms. Blackwood. And a child isn't a business acquisition." Sophia bristled. "I never suggested." "You did," Marcus interrupted. "Your contract specifies no contact, no involvement, no relationship with the child. You're essentially asking me to help create a human being and then pretend they don't exist." "I'm offering you financial security for you and Emma," Sophia countered. "Many men would jump at this opportunity." "Then why didn't you ask one of them?" Marcus challenged. "Why me specifically?" The question hung between them, and Sophia found herself unable to give the practiced answer she'd prepared. Instead, she watched Emma, who was now helping a smaller child climb the ladder. "She's very kind," Sophia observed softly. Marcus followed her gaze, his expression softening with pride. "She's the best of Sarah and me. Every day she does something that reminds me of her mother." "You must miss your wife very much." "Every day," Marcus admitted. "But Emma makes it easier. She gives me purpose." He turned back to Sophia. "Is that what you're looking for? Purpose?" The question was too perceptive, too close to a truth Sophia wasn't ready to acknowledge. She deflected. "I'm looking for an heir." "No," Marcus shook his head. "An heir is what you tell yourself you want. But I saw your face when you met Emma. You want a child, someone to love, someone who will love you back." "You don't know me," Sophia said sharply. "I know enough," Marcus replied. I know you're successful but alone. I know you've probably never set foot in a playground as an adult before today. And I know that whatever drove you to my door, it wasn't just about continuing the Blackwood bloodline. Sophia stood abruptly. This was a mistake. I'll find someone else. As she turned to leave, Emma came running over, her face flushed with excitement. You came back, she exclaimed, grabbing Sophia's hand with sticky fingers. Daddy said you might. Do you want to see me go down the big slide? Sophia froze, looking down at the small hand holding hers, then up at Marcus, who was watching the interaction with an unreadable expression. I should go, Sophia said uncertainly. Emma's face fell. But you just got here. Something in Sophia's chest tightened painfully. When was the last time anyone had been genuinely disappointed by her departure? When had anyone looked at her with such open, uncomplicated desire for her company? Maybe just one slide, Sophia heard herself say. Emma's face lit up, and she tugged Sophia toward the playground equipment. Sophia glanced back at Marcus, who gave her a small nod of permission. What followed was the most surreal 30 minutes of Sophia's life. She watched Emma go down the slide, then found herself persuaded to try it herself. She, Sophia Blackwood, CEO of a multinational corporation, slid down a plastic slide in a public park while a 5-year-old cheered her on. When they returned to the bench, Sophia's designer jeans had a smudge of dirt, and her carefully styled hair had come loose from its clip. But for the first time in longer than she could remember, she didn't care about her appearance. Ice cream? Marcus suggested, looking at both of them with amusement. Yes, please. Emma bounced excitedly. Sophia checked her watch. I should really get back to. It's Saturday, Marcus pointed out. Even billionaires take days off. Before she could argue, Emma took her hand again. They have chocolate and vanilla swirl. It's the best kind. Somehow, Sophia found herself sitting on another bench, eating ice cream with chocolate and vanilla swirl, listening to Emma chatter about her kindergarten class and her best friend Zoe who had 2 moms and a pet turtle. Marcus watched them, his expression thoughtful. When Emma ran off to throw away their napkins, he turned to Sophia. I have a counter-proposal, he said. Sophia raised an eyebrow. I'm listening. Get to know us first, Marcus said simply. Spend time with Emma and me. See what parenting actually looks like, the good, the bad, and the messy. If after a month, you still want to go through with this, we can discuss terms that include some kind of relationship between all of us. That wasn't what I had in mind, Sophia said carefully. I know, Marcus replied. But a child deserves better than what either of us initially wanted. They deserve to know both their parents, even if those parents aren't together. Sophia watched Emma at the trash can, carefully separating the recyclables from the garbage. Why would you even consider this? You clearly don't need my money badly enough to just take the deal. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Emma asks about her mother all the time. I tell her stories, show her pictures, but it's not the same as having a woman in her life. And I've been alone for 3 years, trying to be everything for her. Maybe. He hesitated, maybe we both need someone else in our lives, even if it's not in the conventional way. Sophia felt something unfamiliar stir within her, not desire or ambition or the cold calculation that had driven her success, but something warmer and more frightening. 1 month, she finally agreed. No commitments, no contracts. Just, getting to know each other. Marcus nodded, and when Emma returned, he said, Emma, how would you feel if Ms. Blackwood came over for dinner sometimes? Emma's face lit up. Can she come tonight? I can show her my room and all my books. Marcus looked at Sophia questioningly. I'd like that, Sophia said, surprising herself with how much she meant it. The first dinner at Marcus's apartment was awkward. Sophia arrived with an expensive bottle of wine and a designer educational toy for Emma that cost more than Marcus probably spent on groceries in a month. You didn't need to bring anything, Marcus said, accepting the wine but looking uncomfortable. I always bring a hostess gift, Sophia replied stiffly. Well, I'm not a hostess, Marcus pointed out with a hint of humor. Just a single dad who makes a decent lasagna. One simple mistake can change the course of a life forever, but what happens when that mistake reveals a secret so heavy it shatters your heart into a million pieces? Stay with me until the very end, because the resolution to this story isn't just a twist, it's a lesson in human strength that you will never forget. If stories about resilience and the unspoken battles of the heart move you, please take a second to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us tell more stories that matter. Leo was a man who lived his life by a strict, unrelenting clock. At 34, his world revolved entirely around 2 things, his high-pressure job as a senior data analyst at a top-tier architectural firm, and his 6-year-old daughter, Mia. Since his wife had passed away 4 years prior, Leo had become a master of the single dad juggle. He was the king of making Mickey Mouse pancakes at 6 a.m. and the king of pivot tables by 9 a.m. His boss, Elena Vance, was a woman who commanded the kind of respect that bordered on fear. She was brilliant, cold, and notoriously private. She ran the firm with an iron fist and had never been known to crack a smile in a board meeting. To Leo, she was a distant son, essential for his survival because she signed his paychecks, but someone he dared not get too close to for fear of being burned. The incident happened on a rainy Tuesday, the kind of day where everything feels slightly off balance. Leo had been working late to finish a proposal for a skyscraper project in Dubai. The office was mostly empty, the shadows long and blue against the glass partitions. He realized he had forgotten to get Elena's physical signature on a clearance form that needed to be couriered by dawn. He walked toward her corner office. The light was on, the door slightly ajar. Usually, Leo would knock and wait for her sharp, "Come in," but his mind was occupied by a text from Mia's babysitter saying the little girl had a slight fever. Distracted and hurried, Leo pushed the door open while saying, "Ms. Vance, I am so sorry to bother you, but I just need